Hello, Hilton Baptist, and welcome to today's devotion from Revelation 12. This is our second look at this great chapter, and tomorrow we'll look at a third part as well. It has so much in it, and we can't rush it with quick 5-minute devotions. And so I have slowed down our studies. I hope you're finding them valuable. They are quite difficult, and they take a bit of understanding, but I actually think that this book, maybe more than any other, provides a real word of encouragement for us in difficult days. Jesus is on the throne. He is the victor. He has won the victory, and we need to hold on to that. I want to remind you that Revelation is not a historical book taking us through a series of events happening one after the other. Rather, it is a vision or a revelation of what John saw on the island of Patmos. And so we don't see history going forward. We see what John saw going forward. So we look each time at what he saw next, not necessarily what happened next. And I think that's really true of this passage. Let me remind you of the main characters. We saw them yesterday. The woman represents the church, both Old Testament and New Testament churches, and particularly symbolized by Mary, who of course was a believer before Jesus came and continued to follow Jesus after his work and went back to heaven. The dragon represents the devil and all that is evil. And Jesus doesn't, the child doesn't represent Jesus. The child is Jesus. Jesus is the person of the child in this story. The first action that we see is the birth of the child, a birth that the dragon wants to prevent. This is the birth of Jesus by Mary in Bethlehem, and it's already happened. It happened 2,000 years ago. It is fact. We also know that Herod tried to kill Jesus at his birth, and it is interesting that a human being is acting for the dragon, for the devil, in doing that, and is a warning to human beings that we can be agents of the evil one. Why does the devil want to kill the child? Well, simply this: the child will bring about the victory of God. The child will overcome the dragon, and the dragon knows that, and so he tries to kill the child as soon as he's born. The next action we see is the child being sent up to heaven and onto the throne. And my friends, this is a reference to Jesus' ascension. And so the whole gospel story that we read about in detail in the Gospels is summed up in these two events, one at the beginning, one at the end. Jesus' birth in Bethlehem and his ascension to the right hand of the throne of God. Everything else in between is included, but those two events bookend the story of Jesus, certainly his first coming. And that is why Jesus came. Jesus came to be the king, to be the Messiah. And when he ascended to the throne of God. The purpose of Jesus' birth was that he would be king. And that came about. And that's really important. We'll come back to that in a moment. There's suddenly a scene switch, and we find ourselves in heaven, and we find ourselves seeing a battle that's taking place between the Archangel Michael and the dragon. My friends, this is the battle that is raged in the heavenlies throughout history, throughout the history of the world. And notice that the devil is defeated. And when he is defeated, he is thrown down to earth. He is dethroned of all his glory. There's a nice little tongue tie there. How does that happen? How is the devil defeated? Well, he's defeated through the work of Jesus on earth. He's defeated because the Son was born, and because the Son has been enthroned in heaven. And so the Son is enthroned in heaven, and the devil is thrown down to earth. The work of Jesus on earth has defeated the devil. So you might ask, why are things so bad now? Why is everything so bad when the devil has been defeated? Well, that dragon, or the devil, has been thrown to the earth. And if he can't destroy the Son, he'll take his anger out on the woman, which means he'll take his anger out on the church. He will attack the church with everything he has. He will go after the church with everything he has. And because he knows that his time is limited, his anger and his violence is like desperate. There are lots of implications of this. But the one I want you to note today is that when God's people suffer, when the woman suffers, when the church suffers, that is not a sign of Satan's victory. That is a sign of his defeat. Tomorrow, we'll look at how the church can defend itself and can cope with the dragon's attack. But I want you to remember this today, that if you feel like the church is under attack, if you feel like our church is under attack, or the church in general, I want you to remember that that is a sign of the devil's defeat. It is a sign of Jesus' victory. And that attack won't go on forever, because the devil's been defeated and Jesus is on the throne. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow.